It's Planning Commission, City of Lockport, for August 8th. Would everyone please rise? Pledge to the flag. Okay, first off, do we have a roll call, please?
You got it. Wheeler.
Here.
Garland.
Here.
Maloney.
Here.
Oxley.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Likens.
Here.
And Quinn.
Here.
We have four.
He's still looking at the clock. Do we have a motion for the approval of July 11th meeting minutes?
So moved.
Moved by Likens,
Second.
second by Wheeler. Any questions, comments? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, tonight we have several public hearings. First one tonight is to amend planned unit development of Lockport Square at Farrell Road to allow massage therapy for commercial tenant. Do we have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Garland, second by Likens. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Lance, you're it.
Thank you. The applicant Edgar Vargas has submitted an application for an amendment to his special use permit to allow massage therapy to take place at Physical Therapy Center located at 16109 South Farrell Road. The property is located within an inline retail commercial multi-tenant building at Lockport Square at Farrell Road, which is a planned development PD. There is no new development taking place. The applicant will co-locate with the current tenant at the above-mentioned address to provide additional services for existing customers. The proposed massage therapy business would be an accessory use to the established principal use, which is physical therapy. Physical Therapy Center is located on Outlot 3 in the Lockport Square at Farrell Road. It's outlined in red on your screen. It's the development located between Jewel Osco Store and Walmart. Kyle Dodge, owner of the Physical Therapy Center, would like to expand his current therapeutic services by offering massage therapy to existing customers. The two entities would be collaborating and co-locating at the current location. Furthermore, Edgar Vargas is a licensed massage therapist. Based on the general guidelines for planned developments in Section 156.144, staff finds that the proposed development will not injure or damage the use, value, or enjoyment of the surrounding property, nor hinder the development of surrounding property in accordance with the comprehensive land use plan of the city. Additionally, the proposed use is desirable and the need for the use has been demonstrated by the applicant. Modifications of the zoning districts is warranted by the design of the proposed building. Should the commission find the proposed massage therapy as an accessory use to the principal physical therapy business acceptable, we suggest the following motion. A motion to adopt staff's findings and recommend approval for an amendment to the planned development of Lockport Square at Farrell Road to include massage therapy as an accessory use to the principal use. That's my report.
Thank you, Lance. Is there anyone from the public here to wish to speak on this? Hearing none. Board members? Any questions, comments? Motion to close public hearing. Oh,
Just kind of froze up a little bit. My name is Edgar Vargas. Am I allowed to come up here?
yes, please state your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Edgar A. Vargas Carmona. I am the person that put in the application for this. I currently live in 1708 Lockport, 1708 Kaya Drive in Joliet, Illinois. If anyone have any questions for me before I go on my little spiel, if anyone? It's got like 2 seconds. Appreciate it. Just quick thing about me, 10 years in the business, working, of course, for X amount of companies. I've learned to love helping the community, and I do hope to be added on to this beautiful community.
If I could, before you go on further, I forgot to swear you in. This is a hearing, so he does
Go
need to
ahead.
be. Could you raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Sorry about that. And
No
then
worries.
you are Edgar Vargas, V-A-R-G-A-S, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Like I was saying, I do enjoy working in the community, and I do hope to be added onto this beautiful community. 10 years of service, I have learned quite a bit about the human body, and I look forward to learning a little more as a business owner. Any questions for me, or can I just go on about my way? No. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the public? Hearing none, we'll accept a motion to close the public hearing. Moved
Second.
by Garland, second by Likens. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, what's your pleasure?
I'll make,
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the staff's finding and recommend approval for amendment to the plan development of Lockport Square at Farrell Road.
We have a motion by Garland. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Peters. Any questions, comments? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Got it. Wheeler.
Yes.
Garland.
Yes.
Maloney.
Yes.
Oxley.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Likens.
yes.
Quinn.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next case is this was tabled from last month, moved to this month for rezone from I-2 General Industrial to R1 Single Family Residential Zoning City of Lockport. Do we have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Moved by Likens,
Second.
second by Wheeler. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Lance?
This rezoning is a city-initiated rezoning. The purpose is to establish a zoning district within the city of Lockport for land that has recently been annexed. Property had previously been zoned I-2 General Industrial in unincorporated Will County and will be rezoned to R1 Single Family Residential upon your recommendation. The subject property is generally located west of Canal Street, which is west of Connor Street across the canal, and north of the Hell's Gate Haunted House shown on your screen. The R1 zoning will align with the zoning that is already established for all the surrounding properties. No new development is proposed at this time. Should the commission find the rezoning request acceptable, the following motion is suggested. A motion to approve the rezoning from I-2 General Industrial in unincorporated Will County to R1 Single Family Residential District, City of Lockport, for the property located at 2601 through 2701 Canal Street. That's my report.
Just, and it just is background on the legal authority to do that. Generally, under the Illinois Municipal Code, when a property is annexed in, they're annexed in automatically at the residential use, the highest restrictive or the less intensive class, which is an R1 zoning district. So even though the state code states that the city has the right to automatically rezone that property without any hearing, without any notification to the owner. We have notified the owner. We have given the owner the opportunity to file a petition for rezoning of this property instead of R1. The owner has not taken that option to do that. And so this is presented to the Planning and Zoning Commission, even though it's not required under the Illinois Municipal Code, and that's why it's being zoned to R1. It is surrounded by other R2 zoning, so it is, not with, it's within the reasonable authority of this zoning commission and also the city council to have this rezoned to R1 in the city of Lockport.
Where do we sit, Sonny, as far as that road being DNR road, not City of Lockport road? That's one of my concerns.
Well, obviously, if there is any operation of this business that is a permitted use or properly zoned, they would have to get the license agreement through IDNR to access the canal road, and if they don't, then they will be unlawfully operating that business.
We are encouraging all of the owners on there to work with IDNR to get access agreements with them. We know that the haunted house has negotiated that with IDNR, so they do have access to the road. And then we're also working with the potential owner of the properties that are further north of the junkyard to also get access and an agreement with them.
Yeah, because one of the comments was that we couldn't annex it because it's not a city road. So, and I was just, that's why I'm clarification.
So, yep, the annexation, there's different various ways to force annex a property. It could be wholly surrounded by the other properties that's within the city, or it could be surrounded, majority of it surrounded by the city, and also on the other side, property that's owned by the state. So let me pull up the state statute. I should have pulled it up just in Oh, that's a notification. But that's one of the provision of the Illinois Municipal Code is that if it's wholly bound by the corporate lines of the city and also a property owned by the state, it can be annexed in. So this has already been properly annexed in a couple months ago, and therefore the only issue before this Planning Zoning Commission is the rezoning aspect of it, not the annexation, which has
Okay.
already been properly
So,
done.
I mean, I realize there's no cooperation coming from the property owner here, which we've requested and talked to. So he'll have to file a petition to change the zoning, shall he decide to do something then?
If he decides to do that. Currently, he's not, whatever business that he's operating is not, it wasn't done lawfully within the county, unincorporated Will County, and it's not, now that it's being annexed in and rezoned, it would not be legally operating for its current use, if it is operating.
With that, Sonny, and this is just a question, that's been a junkyard forever, since I can remember. And before that, it was a gravel pit.
So when you are operating and you are operating with if it was rezoned in, if it was lawfully established, it would be able to, enjoy that protection. Unfortunately, this property and its use has already been declared by Will County as an illegal operation. They've already stated on multiple court cases and have, obtained fines against the owner for operating illegally. So when it is annexed into the city of Lockport, the only way you get the protection of of the established business if it was legally authorized and legally established.
time.
And it's at the time, and this property doesn't enjoy the protection of it being grandfathered in because it has not been legally established.
Okay? Thank you. Anyone here from the public wish to speak on this?
So that basically excludes them from the pre-existing non-conforming use?
Yes, it doesn't,
Because he was just, put your stuff here.
yeah.
Got it.
So he was not lawfully operating, it's not been legally established, so whatever operation that he continues to do is being done unlawfully.
Check.
So is there a grandfather clause with the county stuff that it's been that long, or just,
No, I mean, like, even if it has ceased, and it has been done unlawfully, and there are court cases that already states, and it has been found that he has been unlawfully operating his operation as a junkyard,
Since the beginning.
yeah.
He
Way
ne-
before.
He never received approval to actually create a junkyard on that property. He just
so
simply.
I'm assuming with that, an I-2 in the county is a special use for a junkyard? Is that, or,
He never received approval to do a junkyard. He just started.
okay. Okay. All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, I have a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Moved by Garland, second by
Second.
Likens. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. What's your pleasure here?
I'll make a motion to approve the rezoning from I-2 General Industrial, unincorporated Will County, to R1 Single Family Residential District, City of Lockport, for the property located at 2601-2701 Canal Street.
We have a motion by Likens. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Peters. Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Got it. Wheeler.
Yes.
Garland.
Yes.
Maloney.
Yes.
Oxley.
No.
Peters.
Yes.
Likens.
Yes.
Quinn.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next case, we have special use permit for a private school, Montessori school, at 924 North State Street. We have a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Wheeler,
Second.
second by Likens. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any questions or comments? Thank you. Lance?
The applicant, Tina Davidson, who is with us tonight on behalf of Lupine Montessori School, is seeking approval of a special use permit to allow their existing private Montessori school to relocate to the property located at 948 North State Street. The applicant desires to purchase the 11,530 square foot building, commercial building with a parking lot and a vacant lot to consolidate their sites. The larger building can accommodate their needs for students, parking, academic activities, and future growth in one location. The subject property is zoned C2 Community Commercial. A private school is classified as a special use within the C2 zoning district. If approved, the applicant would update the property by making much-needed improvements to the building and parking lot. They are actively working with city staff and the adjacent two owners on a consolidated parking plan. The final resolution of that issue will be finalized via the building permit process once the final design is agreed to. Should the Plan and Zoning Commission find the special use permit for a private school acceptable, the following motion is suggested. A motion to adopt staff's findings of fact and recommend approval of a special use permit for a private school to be located at 948 North State Street, subject to the following conditions. The parking lot will need to be resurfaced with a new surface course, striping, and curbs in a few areas prior to August 1st, 2024. The applicant shall work with planning staff at the time of the parking lot improvements for the landscape. The existing monument sign that is located within the State Street right-of-way will need to be relocated and constructed within the property boundary. Dumpsters will need to be screened in accordance with city code. A building permit will be required for any interior and exterior remodels and renovations, and any new outdoor lighting shall be reviewed and approved by the city. That's my report.
Thank you, Lance. Is there anyone here from the public wish to speak on this subject? If so, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
Yes, I'm Tina Davidson. I live in Lockport at 16728 Sioux Drive.
And could I have you raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
I've been here before.
Yes, yes, you have, more than once.
Exactly. This is actually officially time number 3. We were here 17 months ago, and I think there was some discussion about how long we would stay in our current location, and I did vow that I wanted to be back before you within 5 years, so here we are. As we talked about at that time also, it's very difficult to find a property the size that we need to house our school. We have grown 20 children since the last time I was here. So, and we're, as you know, now in 2 separate locations. So we have a main campus now, and a pizza campus. So that opens, that building opens a great opportunity for us to be able to house all of our programs in one place, and also have enough room to have an additional classroom put on. And then with the north lot that's vacant, that can be a place where our students can play more safely than what we have available to us right now. And just like where we are located now, we're very interested in improving what it looks like, which if you drive by, I think we can definitely make that look better. So I know I'm sure there are a lot of questions. I know there were before, so I'm happy to answer any.
Okay. Any questions or comments for the applicant?
Close the public hearing.
We have to have questions or comments here and then close it and vote on it. Thank you.
I guess my question would be, Lance, you might have a feeling in here. I saw the multiple site plans with the parking, and obviously it sounds like that's contingent on what IDOT decides to do, saying, are we going to close off those right in, right out, or those full access points, and or do we continue with the loop now, or do we share with the neighboring spaces? Do we have any anticipation or any feedback from them on when they expect to get back? Or, I don't think it's going to be contingent for my purposes on here. I just would like to know how that dialogue has gone.
Yeah, both of the other adjacent property owners are in favor of trying to create a consolidated parking plan. I think probably one of the biggest questions for the southernmost property owner is the condition of his lot is actually in fairly decent shape, so he is less interested in trying to resurface his portion of the lot. So he wants to make sure that that is incorporated into whatever the overall plan is. And then, as it relates to the striping, that's really where the consolidation needs to happen so that everybody is okay with the striping that occurs. The hard thing about its current situation is none of the parking meets any of our standards, either today or likely when it was approved years ago. And so one of the things that we want to do with a restriping plan is to make sure that all the parking spaces meet our current needs, or meet our current requirements, I should say, so that everything flows through. We have talked with Tina about circulation, drop-off, things like that as it relates to the school specifically and how that gets routed through the site. It can either happen just on their property, as it currently has. If for whatever reason something doesn't work out with the adjacent neighbors, they still plan on improving the parking lot and modifying the circulation so that it works for their use specifically. So either way, whether or not there is an agreement ultimately with the adjacent property owners or they do it themselves, we still feel comfortable that they can make the modifications to the parking lot to allow for the striping to meet their needs, both circulation-wise, drop-off-wise, and then daily parking. The good news for them is they have relatively limited daytime parking during the school day. Drop-off is really their major component, and we think that we've got actually more stacking than they currently have to be able to allow for whatever the number of kids coming into the site. And if we can get that onto the other portions of the property, it just makes it better, all in all. But the properties are platted oddly, and it really takes them all working together to try and make this really cohesive. But another component, of course, is that they would need to create a property owners association for those three properties to maintain common maintenance issues just like you would anywhere else. So those are all the hurdles that we have to get through in order to make this real, and we didn't feel it was appropriate for us to hold up a applicant waiting on two other people that aren't related to the case.
Completely agree. And both of the flows look like they would be fine, especially the number of stacking. Like you said, there's not going to be a bunch of people parked even in between there. So if it's all stacked up, the only people that would probably be parked there would be like teachers or staff.
Right.
So, yeah.
One of the comments I had, and I spoke with Lance about, is on your outdoor play area, do you plan on fencing that?
We do.
Okay.
We do. We don't have it in this. We know that that's a whole another separate permitting process. But yes, we would like to be fenced from Archer Avenue
Yes.
for obvious reasons.
That was one of our concerns before, but with all the demographics she had before going, it
Right.
was impossible. But with this, I'd like to see it fenced. Are there any detention going to be required on this, or we're good with detention? Bob?
So we really haven't been involved because there's no development proposed at this time. But from what I've seen of land sketches, it looks like it's basically a reconstruction, resurfacing, so there would not be any
None,
detention.
okay.
Right.
Want to make sure we're not going to have that fall into footfall when they're getting ready for permitting, so they understand it from the start, so.
No,
okay.
if they expanded the parking,
Yeah,
then they
they
would.
change the footprint, then they got
Yes.
issues.
We've talked with the applicant about potential ways to try and mitigate some of the ponding that occurs in the parking lot, because the lot is almost dead flat.
Flat, yeah.
And so some of the issues related to the current condition is that the water is appearing to pond in the middle of it, and then as the winter occurs, then that freezes, and then it thaws in the spring, it just pops the asphalt that's there. So we've talked to them about some possibilities for some permeable asphalt, maybe trying to get all the water to the north in some sort of swale. So, it's not so much detention as it is just trying to get the water off of the
there. I think
of the
there's a
parking
creek that
lot.
runs behind that shopping center, too.
There is, but it's so
Minimal
flat,
flow.
it'll
Yeah.
never get there, so.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think it's a great use, a great project here. It's just, it's an asset to the city to have something like this, so. I have another comment, so.
Yeah. We had previously approved a motorcycle shop for this facility, and for whatever reason, it seems to have fallen through. But I consider this application to be far more desirable than what was approved previously. I'm all in favor of supporting this. I'd like to see this happen.
Thank you.
Are you going to be purchasing the property?
That's correct.
Counselor, will they be paying property taxes on this?
Well, I don't really practice property assessment, but usually schools are exempt, that's my understanding of it, just like a public body, but I don't know, this is a private entity, so you probably could answer better than I can.
Right. We are a nonprofit organization, so we will file with the state for property tax exemption.
Okay. And we're going to require a sprinkler system in here?
Yes.
Okay.
It'll be fully up.
Well, the new water main was just finished a couple of weeks ago. Barrett Hardware could never put in a sprinkler system because there's no water line to supply it, but now there is, so that shouldn't be a problem.
It was one of the reasons that made the property being on the market again after the other sale or potential sale, that made it more interesting for us because we couldn't, you all know what that bill was, and we couldn't foot that bill on our own.
Okay, then I'm fine with it.
Good. Any other questions or comments? Motion to close public hearing?
So moved.
Moved by Peters, second by Likens. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, what's your pleasure here?
I'll make a motion to adopt staff's finding of facts and recommend approval of a special use permit for a private school to be located at 948 North State Street, subject to the 6 conditions outlined by staff.
Thank you, Scott. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Wheeler. Any other questions or comments? Roll call vote, please, Kathy.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
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 Yes. Thank you. Okay, here's the one we all been waiting for. Next, the rezoning special use permit for planned development preliminary final for Springs Apartments. Motion open public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Garland.
Second.
Second by Peters. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
aye.
Lance, you're up.
All right.
Good luck.
The applicant, Jen Patton, on behalf of Continental 646 Fund LLC, has submitted an application for a special use permit for a planned development, preliminary and final development plans in one step, and preliminary and final subdivision plat for a 320-unit multifamily development known as Springs of Lockport. The property, a concept plan for a 280-unit gated apartment community with 14 residential two-story buildings was approved in 2002. After the approval, the applicant has gone to extraordinary lengths to resolve a number of property ownership issues with the state's attorney's office to bring all of the properties up to an accurate description of land and ownership. The results of these efforts required some modifications to the concept plan. The issue, or the property at issue, is highlighted in yellow on your screen. The resolution of that property ownership, which was returned to the original owners after a judge found that the evidence presented was appropriate, required that the clubhouse shift to the west to better align the entry road and to get a little bit further away from another property that has tax issues or tax deed issues. Reorganizations of buildings 1, 4, 12, and 13 into 3-story structures from 2 stories to accommodate a smaller footprint. That reflects some grading challenges once detailed grades were available. This change led to an additional 40 units because of the height being added to the originally approved 280 because of the additional story on each of the 4 buildings. Total number of buildings and their general location remains unchanged. There were minor parking area modifications, minor alignment modifications to the right-in, right-out East Road due to additional grading and retaining wall challenges, and then building colors and materials were adjusted after a site visit to downtown Lockport to better associate it with our historical material palette. While these changes are departures from the strict layout of the approved concept plan, city staff believes that they are consistent with the general locations, circulation, building quantity, and architecture of the approved concept plan. Plat or rezoning has been included with this submittal, which shows R4 to the north and C3 along 159th Street. Summary of the site plan elements include, due to the topography conditions, stormwater is managed through an underground vault system, and grading is managed with a series of retaining walls throughout the development. There is an adequate 75-foot vegetative buffer has been provided from the wetlands. Density of multifamily development is 16.694 dwelling units per acre. The bulk requirements such as building setbacks, lot coverage, and impervious surface area are in compliance with city code. The future commercial development out front where the C3 properties are is to be located along 159th Street frontage. Specific users are unknown at this time. There are 14 total apartment buildings with 320 units located on Lot 1. This is comprised of 10 two-story buildings, each having 20 units, and 4 three-story buildings, each having 30. Accessible units with accessible parking has been provided. 5 garage structures featuring multiple garages for the residents have been provided. Tenant amenities include a 4,630 square foot clubhouse, pool, mail kiosk, car care area, pet wash station, fenced pet playground, picnic areas, fire pit, and storage lockers. Sidewalks are provided throughout. Street access comes off of Edelman Road, which is a private road, and a right-in, right-out access off 159th Street, which is under the jurisdiction of IDOT. Edelman Road will not be the primary construction interest for the development. It will be the right-in, right-out once the development gets going. There may be some traffic that does come in on Edelman, depending on some of the movement of product, but in essence, it's planned to be the right-in, right-out. Parking is in conformance with city code. The elevations are in conformance with city's design standards. On your screen or what has been finalized related to those elevations. This is the 2-story building. The courtyard side is on the top. The garage side is on the bottom. For the 3-story building, otherwise known as the Z30 building, the courtyard side is on the top. The parking lot facade that would be seen from the parking lot is on the bottom. A trash enclosure is located centrally near the pet park and sports court. The landscape plan is in conformance with the city's landscape ordinance. Photometric lighting plan has been included with this submittal and is in conformance with the city code. And I'm going to turn it, here's some elevations of the clubhouse. Sorry, I missed those. I'm going to turn it over to Bob to talk about the stormwater, because I know that that is of particular interest to some of the neighbors as well as to all of you, since it is a little bit different than what we normally deal with as it relates to the vaults.
You're up, Bob. He's got plenty of review on this one.
We sure do, yes. This was a long process with the review, and made up a lot of ground in the last couple of months, and we ended up producing a clean review letter, so they've addressed all of our review comments. As far as stormwater detention goes, this exhibit that Lance has up shows you, in blue, you have some underground storm trap concrete chamber systems. Those chambers are about 11.5 feet deep. There's a small at-grade basin shown up in the northeast corner that's in green. That's only about 6% of the total detention. So you have about 94% is in the underground chambers. All 3 of these detention systems are interconnected. So they all work together in unison. As Lance said, there's a lot of grade. There's about 50 feet of grade change from the south end of the site to the north end of the site, which is much lower. So this is exactly where you want your stormwater detention. Ultimately, the release rates for all 3 of these basins go to the northwest into what's basically a tributary that flows kind of westerly north of Creekside Center, Office Park over there, and eventually into the Fittiman Creek. So they've avoided wetlands, they've studied and stayed out of floodplain, and they've provided all the stormwater detention to meet the city code and the Will County Stormwater Management Ordinance.
Thank you, Bob. Anyone here from the public wish to speak?
I got just a couple more.
Oh, sorry, Lance.
Bear with me one second. So a signage plan has also been included with the submittal, a 12-foot monument-style subdivision sign with a masonry base, as shown on your screen, will be up towards the entrance to the clubhouse. A 13-foot multi-tenant sign, which is shown on the bottom of the screen, will be put at the corner of 159th Street and Edelman Road in coordination with those property owners, and directional signage will be displayed throughout the community. Some signage for the clubhouse, just to show where those would be. Those are basically on the front of the clubhouse building to identify the main entrance into the development. I'm going to have Jen Patton come up. She wanted to talk about a couple things related to the company, as well as some of the specifics related to the amenities and the units themselves.
Okay, thank you.
Could you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. And if you could state your name and your general business address.
Sure. So my name is Jennifer Patton. I am Development Director on behalf of Continental Properties for this Springs at Lockport project. Our office is headquartered out of Menominee Falls. However, I do live in Lockport myself, right down the street. My son goes to Lockport High School, and I'm really excited for this project to come to the community. I think it can offer a lot of benefits and a lot of housing options that I believe that the community really, really needs. As far as a little bit of background on who we are, Continental is a privately held national developer, multifamily retail, hospitality. We were founded in 1979, and again, we're headquartered out of Menominee Falls. We develop, manage, and own all of our own properties. We do not sub out our property management to any third party. We manage that all in-house ourselves. Continental handles all of our day-to-day leasing, operations, and all of our maintenance for our communities. To date, we have 35,000 homes nationally across 125 communities in 19 different states. Right now, we have under development, we have 68, 24 under construction, and in development, we have 16 communities, and that number is rising astronomically due to some of the market changes over the course of the last 6 months, especially because of the way our funding mechanism works. We're privately funded. We have our own development fund, and then we have our income fund once our properties are fully stabilized. As Lance mentioned in his very thorough overview, thank you, Lance, our clubhouse is 4,630 square foot. The Springs at Lockport project has one of our larger clubhouses due to the number of units associated with the communities. We have a cafe lounge area for residents for special events, parties. Our property management teams do a great job with hosting and planning special events for the residents there, and they can also rent them themselves for their own private parties. We have a 24-hour fitness center. The clubhouse is accessed via key cards. It's open 24/7, and it is monitored via video surveillance 24 hours a day. We have a resort-style pool with a sun deck, grilling area. The Springs at Lockport also will have a gas fire pit outside of the clubhouse with the gathering area. Our community amenities. We have a pet playground with agility equipment that is fully fenced, a car care center, pet spa where you can have your pets washed so you don't have to do that inside of your apartments. Multi-use sport court is something that's actually a little bit new for our Chicagoland properties. We have heard a lot of feedback from our residents that pickleball is the thing to do now. So we've been incorporating that into our communities now, and it's been very well received. So Lockport's actually going to be one of the first that we do incorporate the sport court. We have benches and seating areas. We've gone through quite a bit of iterations on site amenities with staff. Pergolas, and again, our entrance is gated with an automated gated entry for security and safety. Our on-site management team, flexible communication 24/7. We have apps available for our residents so they can immediately communicate with our maintenance team, get on the list, and they get their service done as soon as possible. As far as our interior and home features, we have bright, open open concept floor plans, stylish interiors with high ceilings, large windows, designer touches. Our Springs product is our Class A multifamily product. We have kitchen islands with granite, energy efficient appliances, ample storage, hardwood style flooring, private entries in all of our 2-story buildings. All of the entrances are private entry. The 3 stories are accessed by a small corridor. Private balconies and patios, and then we have attached and detached garage options for each of the units. As far as the square footages, our studios are about 585 square feet. The 1-bedrooms, depending on the unit location, ranges from 730 to 815 square feet. The 2-bedrooms are about 1,000 to 1,100 square feet, and then our 3-bedrooms are about 1,200 to 1,300 square feet. These are just some isometrics kind of showing the layouts of our interiors of our units. I did bring some information. I'm a big math nerd, so I like to really get into the rents and some of those things. I don't know if that's something that you'd like me to present today, but I'd be happy to, and I have the information from our database to share with you if you'd like as well.
Not necessary. If anyone has any questions about the rents, or it's not, we're fine with it. Okay, any questions, comments?
I got one more.
I knew you'd have more, Lance. I see. I got the list here. It keeps getting bigger.
Right. Resolution 22056 established the concept plan approval and reasonable assurance to the applicant that if the final development plans were consistent with the concept plan, they would receive approval. Should the commission find the preliminary final development plans and preliminary final subdivision plat for the proposed development acceptable, the following 2 motions are suggested. A motion to approve the rezoning to R4 multifamily, a special use permit for a planned development to allow a 300-unit apartment community. And the second one is a motion to approve preliminary and final development plans and preliminary and final subdivision plats, subject to the following conditions: that the commercial lot will be subject to final development plan review as end users become known.
Thank you, Lance. Anyone from the public wish to speak? Please come and state your name, and Sonny will swear you in, please.
Could you raise your right hand before you go? Do you swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jody Estrada, 16554 West Mackenzie Avenue in Lockport, Maple Hill, subdivision that butts up right up to the property of the Springs of Lockport. I just wanted to be on record. We did make an appearance last month early and had one of our representatives speak from the board. I just wanted to, as a concerned citizen of Maple Hill, right there on the property, just address like a concerns that we have. So basically, our common areas, it has 100 flood year plain, which was described. We have Fitty Creek running through, and we have our detention pond that is actually a stormwater basin that is always filled, usually with water, but we have a breach right now, and we're already talking with the city of Lockport, so they're aware. So ultimately, we want to make sure all of the detention area underwater in the ground, that 94% that flows the northwest, does not impact any of the creek, because it does kind of scatter and meander in like a culvert, a ditch, and flows to the Fitty Creek as well on our property. And all that area that's over by the business center is a part of our property that borders along all the other properties, up to where our Maple Hill sign is, where there's Forest Manor. So we have crime that happens in our area with teens going back there, starting bonfires, very close to the Springs of Lockport. So we're hoping that this traffic will not continue as they have development right there, along with retaining wall graffiti, trees being graffitied, also retaining wall damage, and ATVs getting stuck in our creek and the berm that's actually having a problem. So we do recognize that this is a plus in that perspective, but we just want to ensure that there's no further damage, and that 94% of the northwest portion, that when it is released at that slow rate, it will not continue to put culverts and eat away in a road or Finney Creek that's on our portion since we're trying to repair it. Thank you.
Bob, do you just want to kind of review the stormwater plan as it relates to the release rate and what mechanism that release happens?
Yeah, so first of all, the three components of the basin, the two underground and the one small at grade, all end up being interconnected. So they all release at one point, which is kind of near the northwest corner of the site. And then there is like this, like, it's not a named tributary, I guess you'd call it an unnamed tributary, but it flows for quite a while in kind of a western direction. And I believe where it comes into Fitterman Creek is either completely downstream of Maple Hill or at least very close to like what would be like their
It's right in Forest Manor,
southwestern
Bob,
corner.
yeah.
Yes.
Right.
And that's just the natural flow of the site. So the proposed is mimicking the existing. If anything, there's a little bit less of just natural runoff going directly north. But altogether, because of this Will County stormwater ordinance requirements, there's going to be a pretty drastic reduction in the total peak flow. So what's going out there right now, even though there's very little impervious area, will actually be reduced. I mean, we're talking about 12 acre-feet of stormwater detention, which is somewhere close to 4 million gallons of stormwater detention. So in order for them to comply with the Will County stormwater ordinance, they have to have that much storage because of how they're controlling their release rate to be less than, you know, or to be what, you know, not exceed what's required.
Yes.
Yeah. That's pretty much it, yeah.
Anyone else from the public wish to speak? Any questions from commissioners before we close the public hearing?
Yeah, if I read this directly, there's got to be a 5-foot fence around the east, west, and north sides of the property?
Yes.
I believe it is the east and west. Is it the north? Yeah, just the east and west sides because of the natural protections from the north.
Yeah.
Are there going to be any gates in that fence that allow the apartment residents to pass through that fence to go to the north?
Well, the north there wouldn't be a fence because of the already natural barriers that are there in place. There may be some to the west and to the east, but honestly to the west is all scrub brush and trees between them and the Creekside Corporate Center, and to the east is just farmland. So we could have them put a couple of gates in.
The lady expressed concern about vandalism that has already happened. Want to give them some assurance that the tenants in the apartment complex won't have access directly through that to the north.
Well, I guess what I would say is having additional eyes on that entire area via both an active property manager that is on site as well as the residents themselves providing that eyes will actually improve the situation, in our opinion, as opposed to kids that are just out in the woods spray painting stuff. We don't envision the residents of this development being the folks that would be perpetrating vandalism per se, but we think it will improve dramatically both the little ad hoc campsites that happen back there as well as some of the other stuff.
Yeah, it appears there's sufficient recreational facilities within the apartment complex here. There should be more than sufficient to address the needs of the tenants.
That's our opinion too.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from commissioners?
No, I kind of want to thank everybody involved here, right? The residents for voicing their opinions, and I think, making sure that this was number one on our list. I want to thank Bob's team and Lance and also Jen and her team, because I think, this has been a long process of getting the pins together and all that from the high level, but then down to the low level, hey, let's make sure that we're not going to be negatively impacting our neighbors and things like that, and going above and beyond with the underwater storm system and things like that. That's very, very expensive. I work in real estate, and I understand, the cost that is added to this project, and I really do want to commend everyone for working together, taking in the neighbors' concerns and things like that to make sure that this works. So, I think this is the type of project this is going to change the entire face of that 159th Street corridor, and everybody took it seriously. Everybody looked at the positives, the negatives, what do we need to do better. Our engineering folks, our engineering consultants, it was pretty thorough, the report. I think that's maybe the most thorough one that I've seen since in my, 3 years or so of being on this committee. So I just wanted to kind of thank everyone for their input and for working together and understanding the concerns of the citizens, because, being a good neighbor, I think, is the number one thing that we look for in our commercial developments, so.
Hearing no one else, so motion to close the public hearing, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Garland, second by Likens. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have two motions to be made here. Who's up?
I'll make the first motion to approve the rezoning to R4 multifamily, a special use permit for a planned development to allow a 320-unit apartment community.
We have a motion by Peters. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Maloney. Any questions or comments? Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
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 Thank you. Second motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the preliminary final development plans and preliminary final subdivision plat, subject to the following condition. The commercial lot will be subject to final development plan review as end users become known.
We have a motion by Likens. Second. Second by Garland. Any comments, questions? Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
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 When do these go to council, Lance?
These will go, actually, this will be flipped to next week's city council meeting, so it will be August 16th.
16th, 7 p.m.?
Yes, 7 p.m. It'll be on the committee of the whole agenda, and then the city council agenda for September 6th.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, under new business, do we have any new business to discuss? Questions or comments? Old business? Any citizens to be heard? Anybody want to tell us anything? No? Okay. No, you're out. You're at the wrong meeting. Commissioners report, I have nothing new to report. Anybody else have anything? Staff report, Lance?
Yeah, one item. Next month in September's meeting, we will be presenting the overlay district proposal for a zoning code modification for the Star Innovation District that will basically prepare an overlay district over the entire property so that it better aligns with what we have in the master plan that you all reviewed and worked on previously. That will help us advance some of the uses that are specific in the master plan itself, while precluding some of the uses that would normally be acceptable in the M2 and M1 district and not make them acceptable.
Okay, thank you. Hearing nothing else, accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Garland, second by Wheeler. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.